What's your best guess on why now? If that's the case, we've heard so much about him being rejected over and over. There's one report about the FBI interviewing somebody who was in the 6th grade with him, who he pursued in a way that was awkward and uncomfortable for more than just this girl, apparently. And she rejected him, pretty girl. No woman has come forward to say she had a positive experience with him. There's been a couple of people coming forward saying, very odd guy, no, not a social person, and so on. And talked about how he'd been bullied quite a bit when he was very, very overweight before he dramatically lost a bunch of weight. So why now? Why at 28, while he's getting his PhD, he's sort of at the end of the road in terms of his education, about to go out there and earn money. Like, why?
Ted Kaczynski was about the same age when he launched his first bomb in Chicago, and then 4 of them right after that. Some people, it takes longer to mature in terms of their criminal sophistication or devolve in terms of their psychological disorders. And I'm not clinically saying that. So who knows exactly what happened? I think a big factor with BK is that I think he grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm from Philadelphia originally. I know that area. He went to school a little bit away from there. But look what he finally did at the age of 28 or so. He travels 2,500 miles across country. He's far away now, finally, from the tentacles of his parents, of his familial upbringing, the home, the neighborhood where he grew up. And he may be thinking for the first time, I am finally on my own. I can do what I want. I don't have any daily reporting or weekend reporting to any parents or authority figures. This is my opportunity. It doesn't mean he moved out there consciously to kill 4 people. It's just that it was a Jupiter aligning with Mars, with a few other planets in there. And of course, not in a good way. These women that represented everything that's gone wrong with him in the earlier stages of his life. This behavioral hodgepodge of issues that he's had to deal with rejection time after time again. And again, these planets lined up for him. He's away from home. He has autonomy. He has an important position. He's incel. He's probably followed these crimes from the past. I wouldn't be surprised if he's researched Lizzie Borden. She was a well-known stabber who killed her parents. Jack the Ripper, Richard Speck, 1966 in Chicago. He's probably looked into these particular people. He's probably watched the movie Rope a number of times, Alfred Hitchcock, loosely based on the Leopold and Loeb case from 1923, I think it was. 2 college students thought they were smart enough to trick the police and kidnap and kill a young man and get away with it. Of course, they didn't, just like BK didn't here either. So we have really this, I say, hodgepodge or mishmash of all kinds of personality issues finally coming together for him. And again, for some people, that happens in a good way. You know what? I'm finally going to college. I'm finally going to join the military, graduate school, whatever. This guy, it was about paying back, sort of as we call it, a grievance collector. Some psychologists use that term. All these grievances that build up, the foundations were laid of brick by brick by brick, and it's finally hit sort of this crescendo in of all places, Moscow, Idaho, and this aligns at the same time. And these poor 4 victims are the one to pay the price for his the alleged grievances placed against him, for the decade plus before.
Why would you think that there wouldn't be a sexual assault? I mean, I know I've heard some speculate maybe he didn't have time, but I don't believe that, because he chose to go into this house, when he knew everybody was home. It's like I feel like if you wanted to commit a sexual assault and then a murder, you'd probably target a single victim and not a house full of 6 people. But you tell me, because you're the criminal profiler.
Sexual assault is not always measured or quantified by the sexual act. You can get into Freudian psychology, whatever, but certainly the swinging of the knife, the stabbing of the knife, who knows how many times, dozens, no doubt, among 4 separate victims, in a way could have been a substitute sexual act for this guy. And again, I'm not trying to create a defense for him or anything like that. I don't think this would be. But this could be some sort of a surrogate or sort of choreographed action that, all right, you're not going to let me perform in some other ways, which who knows what his performance issues may or may not be. I'll jab you with this item instead. So in his own way, in his own distorted method of thinking, this could have been a sexual act for him. But I mean, I understand your question, Megan. You think, find one woman alone and try to, use some method to control, trick her into having sex, if not use force. But that wasn't his mission. He was mission oriented that night. It's time to get back at these women who've done this to me for all my life. And by the way, I'm really smarter than the cops anyway in this small town. I'll have no problem getting away with it. But guess what? He was wrong there too.
Would you describe this as a sophisticated crime or a not sophisticated, crime and killer?
That's a great question, Megan. And to refer back to that 11/25 appearance, how I framed this was the crime itself, the four corners of the crime, the 10 minutes, if even that long now, we're finding out, inside the room, highly unsophisticated. It was stabbing, it was blood, it was bad things happening to people without getting any more graphic than that. A lot of loss of control of people. There may have been yelling and screaming, dogs barking, all these things. And I always said the crime itself was unsophisticated. There was a loss of emotion. There was a loss of control on this person's part. Yet he had enough to get through successfully, quote unquote, and egress the scene. Where there's some level of sophistication were the bookends of the crime. And of course, we know now he made plenty of mistakes with the phone, with the car, et cetera. But he did do the pre-offense and post-offense behavior before and after the 10-minute crime spree itself showed some level of sophistication, of forethought, and forensic countermeasures. Again, not enough. Using his own car, pretty stupid. Just turning off the phone at that one time when the murders occurred, whatever, a 2-hour time frame, pretty stupid. If he turned it off every night at 2:00 or, the months before, okay, well, maybe there's a trend and the reason he does this. So sophistication beginning before and after the crime, not so much in the middle. And of course, leaving the knife sheath behind was probably the biggest mistake, which happened to have his blood on it. And that's where the case was really made, that along, of course, with the white car being identified. So it's like he had enough criminal justice and criminological information to think about this crime, get in the door and carry it out, and kind of get there in one piece and leave in one piece. But obviously, there's missing pieces that came about to ultimately cause his downfall.
Well, let's talk about that for 1 second, because you're talking about this guy who kind of maybe snapped eventually, just a lifetime of rejection and not fitting in and being an incel, again, involuntarily celibate. It's a thing. Being angry at women, feeling nothing. If you believe that these internet posts that were unearthed from when he would have been 16 are his, feeling nothing, feeling dead inside, feeling nothing for his family, just completely emotionless. And if there were any emotions, they were negative. If that's his profile, then and then he snaps, he meets the girls, he feels rejected, what have you. How does all that relate to him devoting himself to studying crime? Like, do you think there would have been a light bulb? Like, what am I going to do with this affect I have and these feelings I'm not having? Am I going to chant? I just think they're two sort of, because a lot of people think this was just some creep who wanted to perform the perfect crime. And that's why he studied criminology and then he tried to do it. But then there's the other lane of, no, lifetime of rejection, snapped, So how do you explain those two lanes?
It's a convergence of multiple lanes of his life that for some of the reasons we've already discussed and probably others we don't even know about yet, all sort of came together here. And it's always difficult to, specifically predict someone's future behavior. Well, it's impossible to predict someone's future behavior, but even someone where you may have trends or patterns of past behavior, it's very, very difficult to give an adequate prediction or some kind of projection of when this person may.
Do you think he wanted to commit the perfect murder based on all of his education, getting a PhD? Do you think that was a goal?
I think so. I think he thought he was smarter than certainly the Moscow Police Department, perhaps Idaho State Police. He didn't maybe think the FBI would be involved in it. I'm very proud of all those agencies working together, by the way. So good for them, despite some of the criticism they took. I think he truly felt he was smarter than the police. He studied these particular people. He knows how they're going to operate, and he can beat them. And I'll tell you, Megan, what was a real big clue to me was around when the the arrest warrant was released. And some people did some research, and there was I think his master's thesis, he put together a number of questions, dozens of them, I believe, that he was hallucinating criminals or people who wanted to commit crimes, asking them, how did it feel to commit this crime? How did it feel to want to commit this crime? Did you get away with it? All these sort of interpersonal questions, which when I first saw them, it hit me like a light bulb. I said, oh my God, I prepared a list of 400 questions, very similar to these, with each question have 10 subsections to it, along with a professor at Bradford University in Virginia. And we would take this 400 question questionnaire out to the prisons. We would interview violent offenders. They're in prison for life. They're not going anywhere. My thing back then was studying violent rapists and sexual assaulters. And we would ask these questions over 2 days of these really bad dudes. And why did you do it this way? Why did you choose that victim? Why not choose this victim? And the answers we would get helped us better analyze these killers in the future, or these rapists in the future. And looks like that's exactly what BK was doing in his earlier research. I think this was published by the professor that I work with, and I have no doubt that material is available online. So he may have even borrowed from some of the questions my team and I put together with the Radford University professor to do this.
Like many people, I am eating healthier, and that's why I love good olive oil. It makes such a big difference in your meals. And by good, I mean fresh. All right, olive oil packs the most flavor and the healthiest nutrients when it's fresh from the farm. And that is the problem with supermarket olive oils. They're not fresh. You ever think about it? How many months that thing's been sitting there growing stale? This is why I like my olive oil direct from small, award-winning farms, and you can have it thanks to a guy named TJ Robinson, also known as the olive oil hunter. When I first tasted TJ's farm fresh oils, I wasn't expecting. I'm like, is it really going to? It does make a difference. It does. They've got these beautiful, vibrant, grassy flavors. They're delicious on salad, veggies, pasta, meat, fish, whatever you put olive oil on. As an introduction to his fresh pressed olive oil club, TJ's willing to send you a full-size $39 bottle of one of the world's finest artisanal olive oils for just $1 itty-bitty to help him cover shipping. Best of all, there's never a commitment to buy anything, and you can cancel your membership at any time. Get your free $39 bottle for just $1 shipping and taste the difference freshness makes. Go to harvestfreshnow.com. That's harvestfreshnow.com for a free bottle and pay just $1 in shipping. harvestfreshnow.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.